So today is May 1st, 2021. I am taping because my paintings, a few of my paintings have been vandalized and have been completely distorted from the original structure, the original blueprint, the original template, and my original sketches and croquis. For example, I re-rendered this painting about over 13 times now, and it seems as though that someone is coming in my artist studio and basically slabbing and slandering like different painting brush strokes that are like at brushes levels that I would not use pressurized, nor would I use you can tell that it's just not my hand pattern, my stroke pattern, because it's just not with my hand. It's one of the specialties of having an artist's piece that is not copied or that is not stolen and basically reprinted or repainted by another artist, is that they have, and so do I have our own hand identity, meaning that our own paintings and sketches are fluid. The pressures of our brush strokes, our sketch work, our skill. That's what makes each artist completely different, especially painters and fine artists. You'll notice that every artist has their own independent like style and can be captured by many different people as ways, I guess per se, as complementing. I say it's complementary, something that is like, but like when you come down to the wire, you always kind of find out the truth in all the details and the meaning in all the details. And so, although the basis of the picture is still very much the same on a broader scope, all the silhouettes are still pretty much there. The images are still recognizable. However, with all the altering and all the alterations, along with a few other damages that have occurred in my artist studio, along with my designer clothes that have been damaged and are irreplaceable, have been basically graffitied and not necessarily graffitied, but like has been taken to a point where it can no longer be fixed. Like my cashmere has like now major holes in them and like has like these stains that have look like they come from like existing residue from another surface. My shoes had to be repaired from like someone knocking off my shoe heels and also scuffing my shoes. So this is like very difficult because when you're working with a client, or if you have a client, especially a commissioned piece of artwork, the commissioned work has to be finished by a certain time. It's almost like constructing a building by a deadline. And so if someone is like basically destroying everything that you do, it really destroys the quality of the painting, mostly because paintings are not meant to be buildable, meaning that you can see the different damages in the surface. You can see the canvas, which is mine's is Belgian linen canvas from Egypt. So like the canvas can't take that much pressure, and it cannot take scrubbing and scraping and all these different things. So I can tell that it's not me because I know the canvas that I bought, I know the canvas that I purchased, and how it was made just for the quality of the series 1 and 2 Utrecht paintings and Utrecht oil paints, and also the Winston oil paints. So like this is just heartbreaking and disheartening to me because I have to once again start this process all over again. I have to go back into all of the details. Like I even tried to repair this painting by even painting some outlines in noir. And so like there's this little joke like, oh, handyman, like all guys are handymen and stuff like that. But like the reparative factors of trying to fix a painting is almost irreplaceable. It can't be fixed. It's like the damage. Once the damage is done, it is like completely, utterly unusable. It's almost like scraping a hole inside of the canvas, or taking a knife and slashing a painting, which is basically it demarcates like so much of the quality of the work. And many people don't know, like, this is history in the making. Like, not per se that I'm saying that I'm going to be at a level of an artist that has been a historical figure, because I'm not in this career or in this life to be popular. But many artists don't know where their work goes after they passed, and so there's this thing about like artists don't become usable or workable or even famous until they die. And so the reality of the situation is that like that's the lack of production, the lack of jobs, and the lack of just social awareness that was going on during those times. We're in a completely different time now, majorly different time, where there's not only access to how things are done, but like way different, so many various different vast ways that you can do them. And I'm sticking with my classic traditional style, which is just a oil on canvas, oil painting on canvas. However, like the figures are a little bit going into like an expressionism kind of caricaturized, abstract kind of like ode to like a bit of like animation and comedic fantasy. And so the idea is that like it's already a high risk for me to like put something so kind of like modernized and customized to oil, and especially on an expensive, very expensive canvas. And so if you realize or remember how many times Disney gave like background documentaries of like how things were done, not to appreciate the film more, but just to give you an idea of like how much work artists had to do just to create one animation, one cartoon, even for a minute. It takes over 1,000 of pages to create an active animation, meaning a still shot in motion, one of the first of its kind. So like there are many artists who are already like very well known, not necessarily by your standards or by public standards or by PR or anything like that. But if you look at all the names and most of the credits, when they run the credits during any type of Disney movie or Pixar movie, those are actual artists who worked every day, like long hours, I would say weeks and months and years even, to produce a quality of work that not only visual, but you can see, as our vision is the most important thing when we have to like be objective, and also like have to like just navigate and just see everything that is possible that we need to see. Like it's a part of our senses. And so like to go senseless on my painting and have to make me reconstruct something that is already in an inanimate design just drives me wild, drives me crazy. I am very upset about it, like extremely upset. However, I cannot like really extend like how I would like to propose the idea of like how it would feel to really find out the capacity of what encourages or what emerges through a person's actions like this. I am an adult. However, I do feel kind of childish right now, because my first reaction is to definitely like kick somebody's ass and like fight and like punch someone in the face. Like the things that, you use a canvas for. Like not only for that, that's a department of the many genres of arts that are that illustrations that you'll see. But like I'm just not understanding why the person wouldn't actually take their own advice and maybe portray their own feelings inside of their own makings, instead of like intruding on the only space that encourages the ideas that you're going to see. Without me actually doing this, I'm pretty sure that feeling wouldn't be there, so it goes away just as quickly. I have a lot of work coming up, and there's been many delays, major delays, and even cancellations. And I'm not proud to say that my actions have been less than ideal for me, because usually I would have more power in my hands to take control of the situation and really do exactly what it is that I need to do. But I've never been met with someone basically defacing my work. If I was in an office space or a locked up space, more modernized and more contemporary to my ideals, the things that I have to write proposals for and have to like get funding from different different companies about my work. Me requesting additional space is not only for like just my art wise and like to actually produce the work that's going to be commissioned from me, but it's also just to have a sense of security and protection, knowing that like there's different departments and different areas compartmentalized for all of the vast projects that I will have to work on and that I am working on. So everything is like, as you can see, extremely organized and set in one place. It's right in front of me. So there's no way that there's no way that I could really understand why I wouldn't notice something like this. And so like I keep noticing things and I don't say much. Take like the fifth, you know what I'm saying? You have the right to remain silent, that type of thing. It's just like, well, this person is remaining silent and also saying a lot that they're not saying at all. So these are my words, these are my wisdoms, these are like my energies, and they're being reconstructed. My concern is not only about the literal or the physical aspect of like what can happen when something is disturbed, but more so the energy that comes along with it and the vibrations that is sent out with it, which means that this is going out into the universe. And so if my energy that I'm putting out into the universe is more substantial and more solid with like everything that I need to produce, it's because I've spent a significant amount of time in my life working on those different barriers and setting those barriers and avoiding certain obstacles, knowing that many obstacles that I've been through could not have been avoided, have been accidents, have been mistakes, and have been purposeful, even in intentional moments. So it's not a way for me to like kind of settle anything at all, but more so it's just like I'm also learning about a lot of different ways that I can like be more of my whole divinity. And so with that divinity, you definitely need to meet yourself somewhere and not anyone else. It's a solo trip. Hopefully you'll meet people along the way and hopefully you'll find your way, but like I can't see how you can start to take someone's entire divinity and escape at the same time. So my concern is that that energy is going to find itself somewhere, and when you hold in toxics, it really shows up on your face, it shows up on your body, it shows up everywhere, it shows up in your joints. It's really not necessarily a health matter, but it's more as like how much do you determine your play on things. And so my play on things is that I try to handle things through communication and conversation. And so when there's a lack of communication, even when I'm using all facets of communication, meaning that I'm using all of my senses, my smell, my touch, my taste, my hearing, and also my vision, and uniting that with like my third eye, my chakras, and my karma, I just don't understand why this karma is coming back to me this way because I'm pretty sure that I'm producing only positive vibes. And so it's the exhaust of trying to consider surrendering to something that has no grounding and that has no foundation, and almost idolizing the idea that if I believe in something that's higher, which is basically art is an elevation. It's always been like one of the highest well-known sought after things in the world. It's just that I mostly keep myself very humble and I capitalize on only my ideas that are not as vast or rapid as actually actualizing them. So if I can take that much forbidden pleasure, which is denying myself of that much, then my agreement to society and just being in this world where we have to share space, time, and energy is that you should be able to not necessarily compromise, but know the difference between the lines that you're crossing and the lines that appear all over the world that leave you very much in order. And so we all have to follow order. We all have to follow ranges, and we all have to follow dimensions, and end up where the place that's most comparable to us. And so this is not comparable to me. These conditions are not comparable to me. They never will be. And to see so many other artists succeeding, which is great because like if one of us can make it, then like all of us make it. So I'm excited about it. But to know that like things are forthcoming my way because I put out the energy, and also because like the universe demands your energy and demands you to be a part of something, regardless on whether you like it or not. They don't like. I don't think the universe pities you. I don't think God pities you. I think God has a special plan, and the universe has a special plan, and our higher power, Allah, Buddha, has a special plan for everybody. And so, if that plan is not the way you want it or doesn't come when you want it, a lot of times there's just our human emotions that supersede our spirituality and our spiritual compass. And so, mine's is off grid right now because it's being extremely disturbed by ways in which that I cannot identify, I cannot analyze rapidly, and I cannot clarify, because like the one thing I would like to say is that I've always been clear about my decisions, about what I demanded in life, and about what I want, because I don't ask for things and question if they're not even comparable to being received with any type of understood communication. So like it's something as simple as if you're going to ask a question, know what you're asking. I know people say there's no such thing as a stupid question, but I think there's so many ways that there's no need for unnecessary questions. And I say that because like there's another side of that, which is the dynamic of answers and the dynamic of responses. And I have a huge respect for dynamics of answers and responses. And so, if the dynamics and answers and responses are calling for a greater proposal or division amongst like what's necessarily asked, then it's not anyone's career, job, or obligation to put themselves in a place to make a foolery of something that is so important and so serious, especially during serious times. So this is serious to me because this is how I earn my income. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I eat. This is how I like buy my supplies. I've been purchasing supplies for a very long time, and the thing about it is that some of the companies have discontinued certain items, or you may not find them again, or they moved or like closed down, and so I can't replace everything. And so once one thing is destroyed, it's completely destroyed. And a lot of time, energy, and money, and science and technology has gone into all of my supplies and most art supplies to make it less harder for us, like so we don't have to like literally like work endless hours just to produce something that is so necessary. And the fact that they made things easier and my time is being taken advantage of, and things are becoming much more harder, much more strenuous, just to prove that like artists need to be in pain in order to paint something that has some type of feeling or emotion, is really sad and kind of idiotic in today's world, because like there's a such thing as therapy and conclusions, and so artists didn't have that before. And there's also cameras, so like I know how many ways that this doesn't have to be done, and it doesn't necessarily be necessary to certain people. But with that same thing proposed and stated, there's many people that demand and like need it like water, need it like water, like water, like taking a shower like every day. And so like if you're like stopping from someone from getting something that's so like not accessible anymore, that's become rare commodity, that is almost extinct in its attitudes and its generosity towards society and how and civilization, to be honest, I just wonder like where we are going with like what we allow people to get away with and still call it behavior issues or crazy or insanity, and not as something as vile as like there are certain people who are technically literally born evil. And I believe that 100%. I believe that some people are born with like darkness in their heart. And so it's not to say that I have never been angry or mad, because I said earlier I would like to get violent. But to act on it and to like implement that as your first idea and know nothing else. And there are many people who do not know anything else but that. And so like this to me is a very dark matter in a very dark manner. Because to be as smart as to like stay within the guidelines and understand the image and know where I'm trying to go with it and distort it to the point where I can no longer fix it or go that direction, it's not only an obstacle or a blockage, but it's letting me know that your intention is to like do that in a wide scope formation and for a very long time, like forever. Because like when something is broken like this, it's done forever. And so how do you what can you manage to come up with or muster up with after something like that? Well, here's where I'm going to have to do is try to work on this again tonight and try to complete the piece and put it, sealed away and locked away in some type of place. However, oil paint takes about 36 to 48 to 72 hours just for one surface to dry. And so I bought like helpful tools to stimulate the drying process, like my quick dry turpentine, which gives like a different finish, a more velvety finish, which I do not actually like. I like the original finish of oil paintings, which were like a very, very nice pearlized shine, like a luster. And so it gave it much more of a romantic feel. This is kind of like birch wood, like dotty, kind of like hard to like kind of really mesh and see is beautiful to me, although the colors are vibrant. I don't think beauty is within so many colors. To me, for my work, it's within the lines of defiance, meaning breaking beyond like even the lines that are proposed. And so I use a lot of grays, a lot of wines, a lot of olives. Darker hues is my dark beauty element, and it is my signature quality, and it is my signature brand. And so, like, you'll recognize my work, but we'll have to question whether it's actually mine, or I'll have to question the same as whether you recognize it, because it's just so close to not messing up, but completely, like, utterly obliterating anything that I have worked on so far. So I don't know how to take this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to review this video over time and years from now and kind of probably fall apart, or just want to get revenge, or just be angry and cannot do anything about it. And so usually I would ask somebody for help, but I'm pretty sure like no other artist has ever gone through this or is going through this without someone finding out about it first. And so many of the paintings that are brought in, if they are that important in history, meaning that if they have depicted a historical event in the world that takes light over the fact that it's just a painting or something like that, they usually decode or descript the painting, meaning they like use different high advanced technical devices to scale the painting and see the underlining depictions of what is being told, and what materials are used, and what fabrics been used and things like that. So it becomes like a major case. So in this particular case, I don't want deception to follow in with any of the things that I want to be perceived as just beautiful, and also authentic, and also genuine. And so if you're already deciding that my genuosity is going to be denied, Not only have you never been a person in my life, I never would like you to be around my energy or my time, and most likely we would not get along in the worst way. And so, like, if this is like an enemy basically just getting back at me for something, I would just have to do something first. If it's just pure dislike and hate, just because, I say that definition very often, like, just because people do have just a negative, nasty, dirty intention. And I say dirty, meaning that, like, they play hardball, and they like do things in which it locks you into their demise and not yours. So you're just sharing an extension of someone else's, like, uh, insignificance, and like it may be a hard pill to swallow, but like I just don't participate in that often, and I have before, due to the validity of trying to prove to someone else how compassionate and how passionate I am about my work and my things and also them. But it gets to a point where you're just like, there's no formation in the human quality when we're at a point where the rights or wrongs of life are just kind of like capitalized into like tokens or coins out of a candy slot machine. And there's not that many to follow. So if you're already breaking all of them, just like, what is there left really in society besides like trying to be civilized or trying to earn an income? And so, like, if both these things are now actively breaking and broken, especially in my alternate spaces, then the most that I can do is have to like implement an idea of stationizing the ideas of conceptual forever. And I don't know, like, my ideas are not really based off being built forever as I just depicted, like, the genres and characteristics of my painting. They're based off like just concepts, and what happens and what will be. So if you're already like at a shock value with some of the things I do, I can only admire like decisions that are made without a brush, and none of them would ever meet me here. So that's where I stand, and hopefully I find out who this person is, and I will play this video back to them and understand that I understand like the degrees of like how much uh, I value my work, and I appreciate my work, whether it looks good to someone else or not. Because for me, it's not meant to look good. It's meant for you to basically just rationalize the concept that comes with it. And if you can go even further, then like you've met me already. So I'm just gonna get a close up on some of the stuff that I'm talking about. You can see that it's just like, if you know my work, it's gone from one thing completely different to another within the same silhouette. And so it's like morphing, or but to me it's more like cannibalism. Like, and morphing is just like, no human is capable of morphing, but like you're finding out that there's so many dimensions of hell. And so like understanding something re-energizing or depleting your whole entire vision, and making you understand something that you never had to understand, and making you see it a certain way, and totally making you understand that forever, and never having you have the ability to see things the way you saw it, is not only changing your eye and changing your scope on how you perceive things, but it's also diminishing your innocence and your childhood likability. And so I don't want to become a monster for someone else or something else that I can never see. It's the most stupid thing to ever say and ever hear. And that's the reality of the situation. And it's not even an intelligence factor, because like I can't even have a conversation with this person. So they're not deceased, obviously. So this is going to be something that I'm going to have to, I guess, chuck under the rug for right now. I don't see it as taking an L, or like, oh man, you got like played. It's just like, no, I guess you don't understand. Like, certain things are more important than people. Like, it's called like community and mass numbers. And I'm not going to be a me against the world. I'm going to be like making sure that I have like my team ready to like discover exactly who did this and why they did it, and only to make sure that it's not done again to someone else.